We have been quietly counting down the top 10 good lock modules, and today we have finally reached number 1. And for me, it's the undisputed best good lock module of all time, Camera Assistant. Welcome back to SamMobile TV. You're here with Daniel. And whilst we've been counting down, there's a lot of good lock modules that I think could have hit this title. Probably the biggest one for me was the one last week, Home Up, which ultimately landed at number 2. But for me, it just doesn't seem to be going past Camera Assistant because it hits the most used feature of anyone on a smartphone, aside from the display, but it's the camera. And the stuff that's in here gives you so much more control over your camera experience that it's worth being the best. So let's start and go through each of the items that you can do in here and what they do and their importance. Starting with the zoom shortcuts toggle. Now, depending on the phone that you've got, you might see something different in here. With the S25 Ultra, you've got the options to add a 2 times, a 10 times, and a 100 times. Now, the 100 times I think is kind of pointless, but it does give you the option to do so. With the Z Fold 7, for example, your option there is just the button for the 2 times crop shortcut, and that's it. Whereas here you can add in the 2 times, which is the remosaic crop of the main sensor, the 10 times, which is the crop of the 5 times sensor, or the 100 times, which I don't know why anyone would need to use it, especially as a button there, but you can add the 100 times button right there. And for me, it kind of is annoying because it disappears the 30 times button, which I think is much more useful. So I just like to keep that one turned off, but that's your zoom shortcuts. Second one is auto HDR, which this is on by default. And the whole idea of this is it will just automatically apply HDR and capture multiple frames and multiple exposures and blend them together into one shot. There's no real need to turn this off, but if you don't like dynamic range and if you'd prefer to have it just normal, come in here and turn it off and it's there as an option. You then got picture softening, which you've got 3 options. You've got off, medium, or high. And this is just, again, like if you find the picture's got too much detail, you can sort of soften that a little bit. And you've got some options for medium and high to toggle between. This one for me is probably the most important part of Camera Assistant and why I always say to install it. Auto lens switching. Auto lens switching for me is the one that you immediately come to turn off. Because what the camera does when this is turned on is it will actually pick the best lens based on its zoom, the lighting, and the distance to the subject. And in most situations, it gets it wrong. Like if you want to use the 5 times camera, use the 5 times camera. You shouldn't have a phone telling you with a toggle that you want to use that or that you don't want to use that. So I always come in here and turn this off because I am in control over the lens that I use, not the smartphone. And at least there's a toggle that allows for that. Then got distortion correction, which will automatically fix bowing or bending lines caused by lens and perspective distortion. This is, I guess, more probably targeted at the ultra-wide camera, and it's on by default even with Camera Assistant not installed, so it's just not something I think you have to worry about. But if you like that distortion for whatever reason, this is where you can come and turn it off. You then have high-resolution settings. So high-resolution settings is an option that will allow you to sort of customize the high-resolution options. So with the S25 Ultra, you got 50 and you got 200. Adaptive pixel is a toggle that is on by default. Again, default stuff without Camera Assistant being installed. So you can reduce noise in low light shots by combining multiple lower resolution frames into the final high resolution picture. So it will effectively take high resolution frames and multiple low res frames and then capture the brightness from the low res frames because the pixel size will be bigger and combine it into the high res one to give you the brightness of the low res but the detail of the high one. For me, it's a no-brainer to turn it on. It might take a little bit of extra time in processing, but it's worth it. Then you've got upscale digital zoom. So if you zoom in using the 1 times camera to maybe like 2 times or 3 times, it will actually keep and sort of upscale that digital zoom back to 200 megapixel if you're shooting in that. So that's just another toggle that you can turn on and it will sort of work to bring the resolution back up to the resolution you've actually chosen. The next block here, we have quick tap shutter. So currently when you launch the camera and you tap the shutter gets pressed based on, let's get out of this crazy zoom that I had. There we go. It taps the shutter after you release it. Whereas with quick tap shutter turned on, it presses it before you release it. So it's as you touch it as opposed to needing to release it, as you can see there. You've also got a prioritize focus over speed toggle. So this prioritize focus over speed will actually sort of prioritize waiting for it to focus on the subject before it captures the image. This is what a lot of people, I guess, complain about with Samsung, is that shutter lag issue. And a lot of it's down to the fact that this is a toggle that you can have turned on or turned off. And for me, I actually prefer having it focused over just the speed of smashing the shutter button. So I leave this on personally, and I'm going to leave this on now. Sliding up, you've got video recording in photo mode. So you can touch and hold the shutter button to record videos in photo mode. So again, we'll go back into this and long press on the shutter. It's got night mode activated, so that's annoying. So if I long press on the shutter here, it will start recording video. And if I slide it up to the top, it'll lock that video in. That's a default option that it has, and you can come here and turn it off should you want to. Then you've got timer multi-photo options. So if you've got a timer activated, you can customize actually how many photos the timer takes. So you can have it be 1 picture, 3 pictures, 5 pictures, or 7 pictures, and you can change the interval. So you can have it be up to 3 seconds or as low as 1 second between images. So if we go back to the camera and we activate a timer, let's just make it 2 seconds to be nice and quick. Turn it on. We'll do it for the selfie camera, shall we? So if I take the selfie, counts down from 3, and then you can see there's little blinking lights there that indicate there's more to come. And then it will count down again and take the photo. That is with the timer turned on. So that won't operate normally. That is just something that happens with the timer. Let's go back into Camera Assistant, and it's here. You can process that here, or you can leave it as default 1 picture and then the interval disappears. Next one is 3D capture. Now recently this got removed and now it's been added back in. But with this turned on, what you will see in the camera is a little 3D option appear in this top corner here. Now, at the moment, it does nothing on the phone itself. This absolutely needs the Galaxy XR headset to be able to view back these photos and also videos that this can capture. Now, you've got the option to film in 4K 30 with this, and you've also got the option with resolution limited to only 12 megapixels. Now, it has to be landscape too, so you cannot take this in anything other than landscape, which is fine, because I guess it's best for viewing back on the display itself, but that's just something you should know if you ever plan on getting an XR headset and have Camera Assistant. The next block here is where it kind of separates Camera Assistant from, I guess, enthusiast or just fun and into a bit more of like professional stuff, because it does give you some toggles and some options to really change the camera to suit for professional work. You've got a DOF adapter correction. So you can automatically flip previews and captures vertically to support external depth of field adapters. So if you've got something on there to help with that sort of bokeh and that depth of field effect, you can turn this on, and it does require an external accessory. So really, it doesn't actually do anything if you haven't got that accessory, and it only works in Pro mode. So what you'll find is that everything gets flipped upside down. It's a bit trippy, but that will then flip it back when you've got that depth of field adapter attached, which I don't have, so I can't show you how that works. You then have an anamorphic lens correction. So you can automatically de-squeeze videos and the preview of videos to correct distortion from an anamorphic lens. So like that ultra wide sort of really bubble-like effect. The correction is applied to 16:9 videos shot in Pro video only. So if I turn something like times 1.55 on, and it's only in Pro video mode, so I'll have to go into Pro video mode, you can see it's really, have I got this? Squeezed it, right? It's really made it sort of squeezed. And I'll just make sure, yep, it's a 16:9. You can see it's really like condensed it and compressed it and sort of cropped in a little bit. If I were to go back and turn this off, Camera Assistant, where are we? Here, off. Goes back to normal and has a bit of a tighter, a normal crop about it. We're not done either. Underneath that, you have HDR10 Plus. Now, this used to just be in the standard camera settings on last year's phones, but because Samsung have made HDR10, I guess the standard for a toggle, this has been moved into Camera Assistant for something extra. If you toggle this on, it will replace the standard HDR. HDR does have to be on in camera settings for this to work, but when you turn this on and you go back into the camera, you will see HDR is replaced by HDR10 Plus as the toggle instead. Now, if I went and turn that back off, Camera Assistant, go in and turn this off and go back into the camera, it's back to standard HDR. Next is audio monitoring. This, for me, is one that I think professionals really would take advantage of, because when you're shooting video on your phone and you're trying to capture maybe someone talking, or you want to capture an environment, it's hard to pick up on all the sounds that the microphone is picking up on. You can't really pick it. With this turned on, if you have a pair of buds connected into it, the buds will actually pick up the sound that the microphone is picking up on as you're recording the video. So you can kind of monitor that audio. So if it's picking up something that it shouldn't, you can make adjustments, whether that be adjustments to your actual environment or whether you go into Pro Video mode and make those adjustments on the phone, you can do that. It's a great option and I really enjoy it. Save videos to external storage. This with One UI 8.5 is actually being moved out of Camera Assistant and into the standard part of the camera settings. For now though, if you don't have One UI 8.5, which you shouldn't because it's not out yet, not even in beta, it's just sitting here. But what it does effectively is it automatically allows you to save videos to external storage. So that USB-C port, plug something into that, and it will be able to pick that up. What's great too is it automatically detects it and immediately will save it to it. And the last three here, again, kind of tie into that video creation. You've got camera timeout. So if you open the camera and you haven't yet decided to use it, how long is it going to be before the camera times out and closes? You can go up to 10 minutes with it just sitting on the camera screen before it will shut down. You then got dim screen while recording. If you're putting it on a tripod or something and you want it to dim and conserve battery, you can choose to have it dim after 1 minute of no touch input, and then it will dim the screen drastically, but still record. This could really help with hyperlapse stuff, especially if you're just setting it down there and want to forget about it. After 1 minute no input, that will dim and the hyperlapse will still record. And then you've got clean preview on HDMI displays. So if you are casting this through a cable or wirelessly to a display, the camera preview will not show any of the toggles and the grid lines. It'll just be a clean preview and fit the aspect ratio of the monitor or display that you're in. Great one if you're using the phone to record and you need a source monitor, because you actually can see everything nice and clearly. So that is Camera Assistant. And this for me is probably the best Samsung camera app and best good lock module you can get, because it truly does transform your entire usage of your camera and allows you to tweak things that previously you haven't been able to tweak and change. I'm glad Samsung gives us stuff like this, and that's why I think for me Samsung is my favorite to use, because of stuff like this. Anyways, hit subscribe to SamMobile TV, go check us out on our website and also on our socials, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks.